What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to WillND. We're here. We're going to talk some college football, maybe some about Jeffrey's favorite teams of college basketball as well, as it's been a wild ride. But Jeffrey, happy you're doing better, bud, and glad to have you back on.
I appreciate it, Will. Definitely excited to be able to do the show again. I've been a little under the weather, but trying to get better. And like you said, tons of crazy sports news going on at the time that we've missed. I mean, you had the Super Bowl. College basketball is crazy right now with coaches and whatnot. And college football, I mean, there's always news going on there. So definitely can't wait to get into a lot of stuff to talk about.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the state of the Crimson Tide right now in terms of football. I mean, not a great first season, but they're getting, especially with that loss against Michigan. Who knows who's going to be the starter? I mean, do you have you might have a bit of an idea. Well, you got Grubb coming in to work with DeBoer, so there's some positive momentum there that the offense will be better. What are your thoughts on the future of the Tide program?
I mean, honestly, I'm not like super optimistic with it, but I'm not pessimistic either. I'm kind of in the middle, in between. I think Grubb, that's good. That is a positive, and it makes me more, optimistic, more on the optimistic side than before. But the quarterback situation, I mean, we don't know because Ty Simpson, he has not been great. I mean, when he's come in, he has not been great. He has not really gotten a lot of time either. He could be good given a chance, more of a chance. But in the little bit of time that we've seen, he hasn't been great. Keelan Russell, he's talented. We know that. But he's young and he's going to be very inexperienced. He might not be ready. So if neither of them work, if neither of them pan out for next season, then I'm getting worried for Kalen DeBoer because you're going to have another year, his second year of not doing that well, and then the fan base is going to completely turn on him at that point. And once that happens, you can't recover. Look at Mike Woodson. And we're gonna talk about that later, but I mean, once the fan base turns on you, you can't get it back. Kalen DeBoer's fine for now, but unfortunately, he doesn't have a big margin of error. He doesn't have a big room for error. He cannot have another bad season. And I think, like I said, Grubb, that helps. So they might have a solid year next year. But like I said, for Bama standards, you got to do really good. So we got Troy V saying not optimistic or pessimistic, so just mystic. That's a good one, Troy. Appreciate you for stopping by. Yeah, that's I guess I can say that about sums it up. I'm just kind of in the middle right now on Alabama.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about Milroe declaring for the draft after that bowl game? I just don't understand it. Why he didn't at least beg Lincoln Riley to try to make him what he made Jalen Hurts his last year. That's what I would have done if I was Milroe. But what do you think?
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that, but that is a really good point. I mean, it's so tough in hindsight when you look at how things shake out, because obviously what everybody is saying is that Jalen Milroe should have declared for the draft the year before. And he would have gotten drafted higher, whatever. But since he didn't, he came back another year, first year with DeBoer. It did not work because the scheme did not benefit him. That DeBoer's been more successful with passing quarterbacks, pocket passers specifically, versus Milroe being more, he's a scrambler. Not a great pocket passer on a consistent basis. So he has a rough season, and his draft stock tanks. So, honestly, to your point, I mean, maybe try that out. Because, I mean, coming back to Bama for another year wouldn't have helped. I mean, everybody already knew that. If he comes back to Bama for his last year, he wouldn't have done any better. He probably would have done worse. So, the only other option would have been to transfer, but transferring such a risk because you could go somewhere and it's even worse. But like you said, you did have that. I mean, Hurts transfer did great, but I don't know. I mean, it really, I mean, he's gonna get drafted, so I guess you could say it's fine that he did. But I mean, his draft stock's just plummeted so hard.
He was
We'll see
bad in
where
the
he ends
Senior
up.
Bowl too, man. Like, I mean, I only watched one of his drives, but I don't know if he came back in. But he wasn't great.
It's just not looking good for him. His trajectory is way down. So he's not going to get drafted very high. It's just unfortunate because he had potential, he has talent, but it's going to be very hard for that to ever be realized in the NFL. It's going to be very hard. So I don't know. Not the greatest decision probably from Milroe.
But is there any coaching changes? Like, is Womack definitely coming back?
I think he is. I didn't hear anything about him not coming
Well,
back.
I know people were upset with him. That's why I said it.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't as good as I thought he was going to be. I mean, because he was really good at Indiana. The year he was at Indiana, the 2 years he was at Indiana, the Indiana's defense was really good with Tom Allen and, the Penix years. But South Alabama, he was up and down there. I mean, his record was inconsistent. He had a couple good years. Then he had a couple not so good years. I don't know. I mean, I feel like Bama's defense was really young, especially on the back end. And I think that probably contributed more to the issues than Womack, but we'll see. But he's going to have to do better. But I think he is coming back, though. I mean, I don't really think that was the biggest issue with the team. I mean, most of the reason Bama's struggles were because Milroe was inconsistent. I would argue the game that their defense cost them the most was the Vanderbilt game. Because when you look at the Michigan game and the Oklahoma game, that's not on the defense. I'm sorry. Even Oklahoma with Jackson Arnold running for like 100 yards, the reason Bama lost was because of the pick sixes. That's why they lost, and they did nothing on offense. So I feel like Bama's offense was more of the problem for the most of the season. So I think they should stick with what they have for now.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the only change was that your safeties coach went to become the defensive coordinator at James Madison, and they got a new safeties coach. But I don't know if that was because he was bad or he wanted to move. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Bama definitely was weaker on the back end, but I don't think they got rid of him. Mm-hmm. So it's gonna be interesting. I mean, Alabama's in a state of flux. I mean, we all knew once Saban left that it was gonna be different, and it is. It's not. We're not the same. We're not the dominant team that we were. So it's gonna take. Might take a hot minute to get back to the top, but we'll see. Hopefully, Kalen DeBoer can get Bama back to the playoffs, especially now that it's easier to make the playoffs than it's ever been. So they should make the playoffs.
And now we're going to talk. I have to mention Bill Belichick to North Carolina. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting.
I'm just being honest, man. I'm still blown away at that. I'm like, I thought it was fake. I thought all of it was smoke. I was like, no. It's not happening, and then it happens, and I'm like, okay, I guess we're doing this. I mean, he's old. I mean, they fired an old guy to get another old guy, and this old guy, a lot of people think he's no good anymore because, like, you look at all the success he had with Brady. Once Brady's gone with the Patriots, he does nothing. He doesn't win anything, and obviously everybody's upset at his relationship status. And everything. The memes were great, though. You saw the memes, right, Will, with the college students. I couldn't help but laugh at that. That was funny. But I don't love it. I don't. I mean, I think it's hilarious. And I think as a very short-lived experiment, sure, but I wouldn't give it more than 3 years.
I love how Freddie Kitchens, the old Browns coach, is the offensive coordinator. That's funny.
Yeah, it's just bizarre. All of it's just it does. I mean, did you ever see this? I didn't. No way.
No.
I mean, I know there's some connection, right? Like when it like his grandfather or something was a.
I know his dad was a coach at Navy.
I thought there was some connection to North Carolina. I thought there was like some family member that was a coach. I saw it at the bottom of the screen on like Fox or ESPN or something, but still, I don't care about that connection. This still doesn't make any sense. It's just a weird hire. It's crazy. We got Jackson saying, "What's up, Only Talk Sports Nation?" Appreciate that, Jackson. And we got Troy saying, "Howdy to Jackson." But yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know what North Carolina's doing right now. I mean, I think they honestly just made the hire to get attention. Really, I feel like it was an attention grabber. But I mean, if he wins, great. But I don't see it. I don't see them being very successful. But we'll see. I could be wrong.
I love looking at this coaching staff. We have his son Steve as the defensive coordinator. Obviously,
Yeah, that's not surprising. That's not surprising at all.
And then we have another one of his sons, Brian, being the safeties coach.
Yeah, it's nepotism, baby.
And then we have Michael Lombardi, who's on the Pat McAfee show a lot. He's the general manager, or like he's like going to be the guy that runs the NIL fund.
Oh my gosh! Look at Jackson. Yeah. For recruiting, yeah. I mean, whatever works, right? I mean, I mean, you remember the Rick Pitino stuff at Louisville, right? You remember all that stuff? Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, it's been done before. I don't, I don't agree with it. I don't love it, but they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Hopefully he recruits, without that,
But so Michael's son Matt is the quarterbacks coach. So that'll be interesting. And then for defensive line coach, you have Bob Diaco, who's the former defensive coordinator at Notre Dame. And then was a coach at UConn. I mean, the coaching job at UConn was kind of a disaster, but I actually think that's not a bad hire.
So no, I don't think so either. I mean, it is a ragtag group though. It's a mixed mash of people, different backgrounds. What do you think? I mean, do you think it works? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know.
I think it's 7-5, 6-6 material to me.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see. I mean, it couldn't be much worse than last year.
No, I mean, I don't think.
Although the quarterback Max Johnson getting hurt kind of ruined the year.
It did. I mean, the backup, as of right now, I can't even remember his name, but he was very inconsistent. Was it Harrell? Connor Harrell, I think that might have his name, but he wasn't the backup. They had another guy, but I think he got hurt too. I think Harrell was the third string, but he was very inconsistent. And yeah, I mean, Max Johnson. I think if Max Johnson had stayed healthy, I think Carolina could have gone maybe 8-4, but still they wouldn't have been great. They wouldn't have been a great team. So I don't know. I just think they're going to be average. I think people expecting Carolina to make the playoffs are far-fetched. Could it happen? It's the ACC. It's weak. It's a weak league. You never know.
Very easy schedule for Carolina. Very easy schedule.
So again, could they have an Indiana-like year?
Yeah.
Maybe, but I mean, is that indicative of Belichick being great and all this working out? Probably more of the schedule being easy. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I don't love it. I just think it's an attention grabber. I really do. But if it works out, it works out. I'm a person that unless I just don't like somebody because of obvious reasons, I want it to succeed. I want it to work out, but only time will tell. I'm just not very confident in it.
Just taking a look at this. I'll show you a look at this Carolina schedule.
It must be really easy. I haven't even looked at it.
Besides, I mean, they have TCU and then they have Clemson. But besides that, I mean, at Syracuse could be hard. But look at this, like Wake Forest, Duke, NC State, Stanford, Virginia, Cal.
At UCF.
Yeah.
That's a little sneaky too. It's not bad though. It's manageable. Yeah. It's very manageable.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a first game? Is that on a Saturday or a Friday?
Monday.
Monday? Oh, that's the Labor Day game.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'll definitely be watching that. I mean, that's an interesting game. I mean, I like games like that. I know a lot of people like the big headline games, but I do like Carolina, Minnesota, Carolina, TC. I like games like that. The average games.
Mm-hmm.
Like Stanford, Virginia before it was a conference game. Just that's a little bit lower, but you know what I'm saying? Like just small games. The average non-conference games. Those can sometimes be some of the best. So like Jackson brought up a couple years ago. He kept talking about the Kansas State Tulane game. Like that game was one of the best non-conference games that nobody watched. I mean, just games like that can be great. Yeah, Carolina can definitely make the playoffs with that, but I still don't count on it.
And then let's talk about your Hoosiers. Pretty good continuity. I mean, we'll see how what's the Cal guy's name? How he does compared
Fernando
to War.
Mendoza.
Yeah. But I mean, the team's pretty similar. You gotta be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Mikel Kamara coming back is fantastic.
Yeah.
Elijah Surratt's back. Got a lot of the linemen back, and I don't know if you saw tonight on Indiana, the Voice of College Football. I brought up about Bryant Haynes getting that extra money. Like they already gave him more money, and then they were like, you know what, we're gonna give you even more money to keep you here. $2 million a year. I cannot believe Indiana is paying a coordinator $2 million a year. I didn't think that would ever happen. I mean, Indiana is trying hard to be good in football. They're trying. They're legitimately, for like the first time ever, trying to be good in football, putting the money where their mouth is, giving Kurt Cignetti what he needs to succeed. And I like the additions they've made. I really do. I think Mendoza's solid if he stays healthy. I mean, he could have a Curtis Rourke-like season. I know the schedule's harder, but it's not impossible. I mean, because the issue is they have at Iowa, I think, and they have at Oregon and at Penn State. And the problem is that, I mean, if you lose all three of those games and go 9-3, then, Indiana fell off. They didn't make the playoffs. That would still be a great year. That would be a great year still for Indiana. I mean, even if 8-4 would be fantastic still. But I think it's because everybody's like, can Indiana make the playoffs next year? I wouldn't count on it, but I still think they can have a really good year.
Mm-hmm. Are you excited about Chandler Whitmer coming in? I mean, I know he's not Tino, but
yeah,
he has like an NFL background. Do you think you could see improvement, or?
I don't know if there will be improvement. I think that as long as he keeps it, the position close to where Tino had it last year, then that's good. Because I mean, Tino's great. That's why I got poached. Indiana couldn't keep him, and it sucks because I feel like the reason Tino left wasn't just financial reasons. I think it was positional, like because he was the quarterback's coach for Indiana. He had some coordinator responsibilities, but that was mostly Shanahan. But he went to UCLA to become the full coordinator. Like he was more of a positional move. Unfortunately, Indiana just couldn't make him full, coordinator because they didn't lose Shanahan, and you don't want to lose him. So it is what it is. It's unfortunate because they only lost him. They didn't lose anybody else. I thought Bryant Haynes was gone. They kept linking him to every freaking job, but since Indiana again paid him, he stayed. So it's going to be interesting. I think the continuity at all the coordinator positions outside of Tino, and I think the Chandler move is solid. I like it. I feel like Indiana is set up very well for next season. I mean, I got no complaints. I mean, yeah, some people are like, well, Indiana's still doesn't have a top 25 class. So Indiana didn't have a top 25 class.
Indiana they relied more on the portal too. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like they brought in good portal players to replace the players they lost, and they brought a lot more players back than people thought. Like I thought they were going to lose more than what they did. They brought a lot of players back, so it's a good mix of returnees, solid transfer additions. As long as they pan out like last year, then I think they'll be good again.
I'm interested to see how Holden Stace does. He was Notre Dame. Then they said that no, Mitchell Evans is going to start, so he transferred to Tennessee. Didn't work out at Tennessee, so.
The interesting thing is for me with Indiana with the tight end position is that under Tom Allen early on, especially Peyton Hendershot, the tight end position was a key part of the offense. Like Peyton Hendershot, the one season had a big year. And if he hadn't had his issues with the girlfriend, he would have been drafted. I think that's why he didn't get drafted, because of that situation. But the thing is, though, is that when it comes to the tight end position now with Curt Cignetti, they don't use the tight end position as much. Like Zach Horton was very solid for Indiana this past season. He only had like 120 receiving yards. That's it. He barely caught any passes. He just blocked. So I think as long as the Tennessee transfer blocks well, then he'll be fine. Because I don't think that Curt Cignetti's track record has never heavily utilized the tight end position in the pass game. So I don't really think it's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that. I forgot. Kuntz was your defensive tackle coach. He played for Notre Dame a while back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now I like the staff. Staff's great. I mean, it's a fantastic staff. That's why Adam on the Rutgers channel, was talking about like, oh, is it Cignetti or is his coordinators too? And I'm like, I agree, it is his coordinators, but Cignetti hired them, so that speaks for something. Mm-hmm. You can't win without good coordinators either. I mean, you have to have good coordinators. I mean, we've seen coaches tank when they have bad coordinators, tons of them. So, but Cignetti has got a great staff, and they've been able to keep him, which is so key. I didn't think they would, but they're, like I said, putting their money where their mouth is.
Mm-hmm. And then we can talk about my Irish a bit.
Sounds good.
I still think the team's going to be great next season, but the quarterback, how good whoever the starting quarterback is going to be a big deal because it's going to be
kind of like Alabama with Notre Dame, where it's a question mark. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I have faith in CJ Carr. Like he's a big time recruit, and he redshirted.
Like Keelan Russell with Bama. Yeah. It's just if they pan out. If CJ Carr pans out, then Notre Dame will be fine.
He redshirted this year, so and then he's going to be the starter next season. So
that does help the fact that he has had the redshirt year, whereas Keelan Russell's going to be true freshman, but still, I mean, hasn't played at all.
Yeah,
basically. So I mean. The thing is that more often than not, 5-star quarterbacks do pan out, but there is the rare guy that doesn't. So, how are you feeling about the rest of the team?
I'm feeling pretty. I mean, the receivers showed signs of life at the end of next year, and Jaden Greathouse had a great game against Penn State. Faison's still pretty solid. You got Malachi Fields, and then the guy from Wisconsin coming in. So I'm pretty good about that. The offensive line should be better because of like the more talented guys. Like they just as long as they stay healthy. Obviously, Jagasaw was supposed to be the starter, got hurt, but then he played in the Penn State and Ohio State games, did pretty good because he actually got healthy for those games. And then Gerby Lambert, 5-star on some boards. He redshirted this year. He's going to start. So a lot of the other O-linemen transferred because of those guys. They said those guys are going to start, so you guys can transfer. So obviously, Rocco, is it Rocco or Pat went to Indiana? Rocco went to Nebraska. Pat went to Indiana, right?
Yeah, Pat did. Yeah.
Yeah. So those guys transferred, but I mean, I don't think it's a bad. I mean, it sucks that Pat was pretty much the captain of the offensive line. So losing his leadership is a bummer.
Hey, I'm happy about that pickup, man. I thought he was going to Michigan, and it was like Indiana.
Well, a lot of thing is like I think part of it was them being Notre Dame guys and sticking it to Michigan. I think that was part of it too. Like they're like, we might go.
I'll take it, man. I'll take it. We need some more O-line help over here. I'll take it.
Yeah. So Notre Dame offensive line should be good. Tight end should be good. I mean, is it going to be Flanagan? Is it going to be Reardon? Like, I'm not totally sure who's going to start at tight end, but Notre Dame's constantly recruited 4-star tight ends, so whoever will be good. It's just quarterback. I mean, and obviously the running backs are coming back. Love and Price, they're both back.
Yeah, that's massive.
Massive. So I'm feeling good about the offense. Defensive line is a little sketch. I'm not going to lie. It's a little sketchy defensive line because they've kind of relied on the portal for it. But this year they're going to try to rely on the guys that they had. I mean, there's a lot of injuries there. Jason Onye got suspended. He's apparently coming back, so he's probably going to start. So we'll see. Armel Mukam. Donovan Heinisch will probably start. And then Bryce Young will probably start. So we'll see. The defensive line is going to be young. It's going to be just lost a ton of experience with Howard Cross and Riley Mills. So I'm a little worried.
There's not much you can do with that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Linebackers are young, very talented, and they got playing time last season. So I'm feeling pretty good about the linebackers. Corners are going to be the same guys that played towards the end of the year because after Ben got hurt. So Christian Gray, hopefully he can. He did allow some big plays, but hopefully he'll be all right. And then safeties, it's going to be Don Schuler, who's probably going to be a very high pick in the 26th draft. Had a great season. And then who knows what that other safety spot. I mean, like Mike Mickens was recruited great at safety, so I'm not totally. And O'Leary before him, and then O'Leary went to the Chargers. But Mickens was the cornerbacks coach. He just became the defensive backs coach and did a great job. So I'm not really too worried about that. But Al Golden leaving and Chris Ash coming in, I'm a little sketched out by Ash. I'm not going to lie. I think they're going to try to do continuity, but Ash kind of failed everywhere he went after Ohio State. So, he failed miserably as the head coach at Rutgers. But, I know
that was a disaster, man. I will never forget the game Indiana had against Rutgers in, 2018 where Rutgers had -1 passing yards in the game. It was glorious. Indiana wasn't even good that year, man. They were 5-7 that year, and they killed Rutgers. It was bad. It was really bad.
And then he was the assistant at Texas in 2020, defensive coordinator at Texas in 2020, and they weren't good that year. And then he was with the Jaguars and the Raiders. I don't know, man. But we'll see.
Yeah, don't love that, but, I mean, hopefully, it doesn't sink the ship in any way.
Yeah, and, I mean, it's a bummer that Chad Bowden, the general manager, left to go to USC. And then they were trying to get the Texas Tech guy, but then he backed out. So they're still looking for the general manager. So
what's the schedule looking like? What's the big game?
Schedule is very top heavy. I mean, once you get into the ACC, the ACC is just not great. But I'll bring up the schedule. But
yeah, I'm intrigued on that. I have not looked at Notre Dame's schedule.
But the non-conference games are going to be fun. I'm excited about the non-conference.
And you can afford to lose 2 of them. If it's a tough schedule, you can go 10-2 and get in playoffs. But
so they're starting off at Miami and then Texas A&M at home this time. So
at Arkansas as well. Tricky little games there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Purdue easy win. Boise
State. They're winnable.
Yeah, Boise State will be fun without Genty. So. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I can see 11-1. 12-0 if everything works out. But I mean, I can see 10-2 as well. It's just tricky games there. It's not impossible.
Mm-hmm. But you
got a game at Pitt that you never won at Pitt.
Yeah.
That's kind of.
I remember Aaron. The last time they lost to Pitt, Aaron Donald had that huge game.
Mm-hmm.
And then Syracuse could be a little tricky if they're good again.
USC. I mean, will they ever get it together?
Yeah. I mean, USC has a whole.
Man, they're bad.
We'll see, man. We'll see how they do.
I'm waiting, man. Tim's been saying for years they're gonna be back. I'm waiting.
Well, they're excited about Rob Ryan, as an assistant. Rob Ryan, how they got him. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, 11-1 will probably be the record. They'll probably trip up somewhere, but just hopefully they can win the first two. If they can get through that, then they could go 12-0.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, it's a very similar schedule, honestly, to last year. I mean, you could argue this one's harder, but it's not ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the one thing I do know is you don't have a Northern Illinois. You know, you don't have a MAC team.
No group of 5, no FCS. So, I mean, Purdue's group of 5. Like,
yeah, Purdue's probably the worst team on there. I mean,
well, I guess Navy's G5, but
yeah, Navy's kind of in its own league. They're different, but yeah, true. Purdue could be a little better. I mean, I think Barry Odom. I mean, they're not going to go 1-11 next year, but I hope they're still bad. Honestly, I just want a few years where Purdue's bad. Can Purdue just be bad? Indiana just beat them, like maybe not 66-0, but 40-10. A few years like that before it gets competitive again. Because like Purdue, man, they've been beating up on Indiana forever. Like let's return the favor. Let's get some more eyes on the chain for the Oaken Bucket, man. Let's go.
I want to go to at least one game. I don't know. We'll see if I can go to a game.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because, I mean, it's several states away, but it's doable.
Maybe I mean, I have family in Pittsburgh. I don't know. Maybe I can do that one.
Yeah, I mean, the Purdue one might not be that expensive. I mean, it's a rivalry game, I guess, but like that one wouldn't be too expensive. I mean, because like USC will cost more, some A&M obviously, will cost a ton. Yeah, I mean, some ticket prices were insane last year.
But anyways, another team that thinks that they're going to have a good season next year, they're bringing a lot back, is Penn State. I mean, they're going to be losing Ward and Carter, but they're bringing pretty much everyone else back. Who knows if Drew Aller can have a redemption season for those, if he can actually show up against the good teams. But
yeah, Penn State had a pseudo great year. I mean, they
didn't beat anyone. They beat no one.
They answered questions, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, Franklin can win a big game. But then you look at it, it's like they didn't really win a big game. So, I mean, they had an overall good year, but it's a Penn State year. It's what the fans don't want. It's just, oh, yeah, we beat everybody except the top 5 teams. But like I said, 95% of programs would love to beat Penn State.
Yeah.
But I mean, they didn't really do anything that they haven't done before. So it just doesn't really make you think like, hey, they're going to do it next year. And plus, they lost Tom Allen. I mean, at DC, I know a lot of people are like, well, it's not the worst loss, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like Penn State every year is just going to do what they do. It's going to win a lot of games. That's what they do. But not win the biggest games.
Yeah, although another Notre Dame thing I forgot to talk about that also delves into Penn State. Notre Dame's running back coach, Dylan McCullough, he went to the Raiders to be on Pete Carroll's staff, but Notre Dame took Penn State's running backs coach, Jawan Sider. So it's not really a loss because he did a great job too with Singleton and Allen.
Yeah, it's such an interesting move, like all these lateral moves. I mean, Tom Allen going from Penn State to Clemson is just funny. It's a funny move because it's a lateral move.
But yeah, Sider's not going to be their co-DC because he's going to Notre Dame. So but yeah, I mean, if they have to win it at home against Oregon, they have to win, especially with what Oregon's losing.
Yeah.
Dante Moore is going to be their quarterback. That first big game for Dante Moore.
Man, I almost forgot about Dante Moore. That guy. He's at UCLA.
Yeah.
Or did he? He was at UCLA for the 1 year, but I remember he transferred. Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, if they beat Oregon, then their odds of making the playoffs are pretty much a guarantee. I mean, you could see maybe an at Iowa loss, and then at Ohio State. I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting schedule because, I mean, you got to realize, too, like, you throw away that game against Indiana, like, normally, but Indiana could be good.
Mm-hmm. That'll probably be their whiteout game, though. But we'll see.
So Michigan State might be a little better. I mean, who knows? I don't know. It's an interesting schedule. They should make the playoffs, but I could see a world where somehow they lose 3 games somehow and don't get in. But they'll probably go 10-2, and if they go 10-2, they'll make the playoffs. We got Jackson for 5. Appreciate that, Jackson. He says 193 days until kickoff for week 0, 198 days until week 1, 200 days until week 1 Saturday, 201 days until Notre Dame, Miami, and Virginia Tech, South Carolina, and 202 days until Labor Day. Wow. Always love the stats from Jackson. He's got it. He's got the ticking clock. I mean, that sounds like a lot of days, and it is, but it will be back before we know it. So definitely appreciate that, Jackson. Always appreciate you for being here. We got Austin as well.
I don't know, Austin, man. Against the 2 best defenses they played against, Notre Dame and Ohio State, he was trash. He was good. He was pretty good against Oregon, but Oregon's defense wasn't like anything to hang your hat on.
Where would you put Aller then, Will? Where would you put him?
Top 5? I mean, I would have to come up with a top 5. But I would put Mendoza ahead of him. Like,
yes, let's go. Was he top 5 this past season for you, Will? No, right?
No, but like coming in, like he's coming back. Like what he did. I mean,
you got to remember that Jalen Milroe was like top 2 coming into this past season, and he didn't even end in the top 10. So I mean, Aller could start the year in the top 5. Like perception wise, but then but by the end of the season, he can be nowhere near the top 5. Because I mean, like I said, I remember Milroe. Milroe was getting Heisman hype at the beginning of the season. Who was the other person? It's slipping my mind right now because I'm tired. But it was Milroe, and who was the other one that was the favorite at the beginning of the season?
Ewers,
yes. It was Ewers and Milroe. And neither, I mean, didn't do that good. Ewers was better, but, not great. So it's not how you start, it's how you finish. I mean, I think Aller is – the problem with Aller is because he had hype. You know what I'm saying? Aller had a lot of hype. He was highly recruited. He's on a team that just has been desperately wanting to break through to the elite, and they're just on the outside. That's why Drew Aller gets flack. He's good. He's fringe, top 5 to 10-ish. He's in that range, but he can't break through all the way. And until he does that, he's going to continue to.
You know who's getting the Heisman hype now, Jeffrey?
I haven't looked, honestly. Who?
Garrett Nussmeier.
No. You might watch him last year, man. All those interceptions. I
think he's a betting favorite right now.
No, no way, man. I believe you, but I don't agree.
Let's look at that schedule. They're going to Clemson. They're going to the real Death. It's a Death Valley Bowl.
Yeah, Death Valley versus Death Valley. Who is the real Death Valley in your opinion, Will?
I mean, to be fair, LSU has like more iconic crowd moments, I feel like, than Clemson does.
Yeah. I mean, LSU at night is something else.
I just remember Tebow's last year. I mean, Florida won that game. They lost Alabama later in the SEC championship, but I just remember that game, like the.
Oh, we got all.
Yeah, he was like, everyone's doubting us now. Everyone's doubting us. Watch when
Austin made me laugh so hard this past season, man. Like you were so on the Brian Kelly train, and I'm like, no, he's not what you think, man. He's not that great. You remember the Brian Kelly Lincoln Riley debate, right? With Tim and Mark. You remember that? Well, who's better? Who's better? Is Brian Kelly actually better, or is Lincoln Riley? I mean, I don't know.
Pretty dead even right now.
I mean, all I know is it was so funny because Tim was so adamant Lincoln Riley was better, and Mark was so adamant that Brian Kelly was better. I mean, kinda he was, but it was more Tim with Lincoln Riley. But like, they're both just not great. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, LSU could lose at Bama.
That
Clemson.
LSU. I mean, that was such a Brian Kelly moment last year when LSU hosted probably the worst Bama team since 07 and just laid a fat egg at
Yeah,
home.
you gotta admit, man, that was one of the most embarrassing games of the entire season for any team.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska getting beat 56-7 against Indiana is up there, but Alabama just completely clotheslining LSU. After the embarrassing performances that they'd had against Vandy and Tennessee already, and for them to do that, and then after that, Bama loses to Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what are you doing? Like LSU, that was a disastrous game. They should have beat Bama this year the way Bama played, and they suck. And we got Sports Talk with Austin still defending Burger King, saying he's a top 10 coach in my opinion. I mean, if he's in the top 10, he's at 10.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't even know if he's at 10. Where would you say, Will? I mean, he's – I don't know. I don't know, man.
Right now, he's probably top 15.
Like 13 or 12,
yeah.
Right? 14, 12 to 14-ish. I don't know, somewhere in there. I mean, he's dropped some pegs, man. I mean, you cannot be at LSU with that much talent, you know, and given the results that he's giving. He's not doing good enough. He's just not. And we got Jackson. That was so iconic. Say goodnight, Tim.
Yeah.
Say goodnight, Tim. And then Mark, man, Mark was so mad, dude. He was so tired. And then we got Austin saying he would put Kelly at 8.
Next show, we should do a top 10 coaches. We should make our own top 10 list.
That would be great. That's a good idea. I'd have to really think though. I'd have to really craft a list. I'm telling you, man. Unless I'm miscalculating, there's no way Brian Kelly's ending up at number 8. There's no way. But
that was such a Brian Kelly game, man.
They sucked, man. I mean, that's something Mike Woodson would do, man. Like, you got some hype coming in, and then you just get clotheslined, you know.
Someone talked about Illinois. Who talked about Illinois? I don't remember.
Yeah, it's, that earlier in the show, yeah.
Kenosha, are you still here?
Yeah,
I think they'll be ranked.
I
think they'll be ranked.
They'll be ranked. Yeah, they'll be ranked because
then they get to USC might tell the tale of Lincoln Riley's job. If they lose, if USC can't win in Champaign, they ain't winning against Notre Dame or Michigan. I mean, maybe. I mean, they're playing Michigan at home, so maybe. But
honestly, though, I mean, that's not the easiest stretch there.
Yeah, Indiana then USC. That's not easy. Yeah.
Purdue is the one easy game, but you look at that stretch, though. I'm serious. At Indiana, USC, Purdue, Ohio State.
Yeah, that's rough, man. That's rough.
That's actually, I mean, you look at it and you're like, well, USC's not that good. Washington, they could, if things go wrong, could go 1-4 in that stretch. Seriously. I'm not trying to slam Illinois because they did good this past year, but let's be real. What did Illinois actually do? Illinois and Indiana were very similar last year. They didn't beat anybody. I'm sorry, but
a lot of people are talking about their bowl win that to really catapult them into next season. I mean, I know it's a bowl game, but they beat South Carolina.
It's just so hard to really say with bowl games now because of the fact that when you look at,
I mean, the Sellers was playing. The fact that Sellers was playing really.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I don't know. I mean, it's just so hard to
Kirby ahead of Ryan, Austin. Kirby ahead of Ryan.
Yeah. Ron Day's not number one. No. The thing with Ron Day is that, and it goes for Kirby too, but the thing with Ron Day
and Nick Sirianni, like they won because of their talent, not because of them as a coach.
Yes,
like,
Ron Day won because he paid $20 million to get
for his players to stay on the team, not go to the draft.
I mean, like that's not even good coaching. And for the vast majority of the season, the team sucked compared to expectations. And then after getting beat, they woke up. They woke up. I mean, they got off the bench and played football for the first time. You know what I'm saying? Good football. I don't know. I would not put Ron Day at number one. Just no way. I would not do it. But
I think Austin's saying things for us to get a reaction. But I don't know.
Austin's awesome, man. I love it. I love when he does it because he always brings out like some of our best comments. Like we just start like, I wouldn't say going off the rails. We haven't even gotten close to that tonight. But you know, like we just start like getting adamant about things. I love it. I mean, I appreciate it, Austin. Always funny with that. But yeah, Illinois just definitely. If you're still here, Kenosha, which I don't think you are, but if you are, Illinois got to be careful in that 5-game stretch because it could tailspin.
Let's look at USC is for the heck of it.
Okay, it starts out
easy start.
Oof.
Ooh. And then that Illinois, Michigan, Notre Dame at Nebraska.
Yeah, that's the stretch there. I mean, at worst, for Lincoln Riley to feel decent, you got to go 2-2 in that. You have to go 2-2. I mean, if he goes 1-3, it's not good. But if he goes 0-4,
he might be fired.
He's done. He got to go 2-2. You have to go 2-2. But I mean, we're looking at that who they beaten because at Illinois, at Nebraska, I mean, the way that we're currently thinking of USC, unless they're dramatically better, the way that we're currently thinking about USC, they're going to lose one of those. You know, Notre Dame's most likely no, you're not winning. At Illinois, at Nebraska, maybe you win one, and then that Michigan game. The Michigan game is the game that they have to return the favor for Michigan beating them last year. You got to win that game. I know Michigan fans are super hyped with Underwood, but he's going to be inexperienced. That's the game that could get Lincoln Riley on the better trajectory again, if he can win it, but I don't know.
And then you have that Oregon game at the end, and I know
that's
USC,
why I'm saying he's got to go 2-2 in that stretch because you got that game as well. He cannot lose 4 games.
Yeah, 4 games, he's gone.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's got to probably go 9-3, so he can't go worse than 2-2 in that stretch. So I don't know. He's not in great shape, and even the Iowa game. I mean, that's not a given.
That's not a game. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just not the greatest schedule, man. It's not terrible, but because USC's been really down, it's I don't know.
But I mean, Austin, like Kirby, like he had Mark Richt was similar to Brian Kelly in Notre Dame, and he was and he brought them over the top. Like Ryan Day inherited already a winner with Urban.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just wouldn't put him at 1. It's recency bias, you know, for if other people say it, because it's like, you know, he just won, and Kirby's kind of not doing as well. I don't know. I cannot put Ron Day as the number 1 coach in college football a month after people were saying he should be fired. I just can't. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I can't. Everybody was saying that guy needed to go. And now, he's number 1. No, he's just not. I mean, and plus, I understand that everybody's using the portal, everybody's using NIL, but it's the way Ohio State built this team. I mean, they literally took Caleb Downs from Alabama. They took Judkins from Ole Miss. All of that stuff. And see, like this statement here from Troy, Day's in a 6-year while 7 now. He built this team with his players. Like this statement right here. In the past, I would agree with that. Caleb Downs is not his player. Judkins is not his player. McLaughlin's not his player. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it is so hard now to evaluate whether a coach is actually good or not. Yeah, I understand Kurt Signetti. I get it. He brought in players.
They's still up there for me, but like,
but I'm just saying, when I look at the way Ohio State built this team, there is no way with his players that Ryan Day wins the championship. He had to bring in the top talent from other programs. I mean, if he doesn't, even one of those guys, Will Howard too, but that's K-State, but still. If he does not bring in Judkins, or he does not specifically Caleb Downs, I don't think they win it all. Just even one player. And I know it sounds stupid, but sometimes all it takes is one player, one extra player. That's why I'm saying with Dabo, why has Dabo been worse? Because all he needs is a couple dudes.
Well, he's using the portal a lot more this offseason.
He is, because he realizes it, right? I don't know. And don't get me wrong, that's fair. I'm not disagreeing with that. That's absolutely fair. Troy, you're right. Nick Saban, I get it, leaving, but I'm just saying that those additions for Ohio State is the only reason that they won, and getting beat by Michigan. Honestly, I just do not think that makes him number one. I mean, if Ryan Day wins it again next year, and you know, wins another one 2 or 3 years from now, maybe. But I don't know. I mean, it was not a fluky run. I mean, Ohio State was always, even from the beginning of the season, the preseason, we all knew they had a shot to win it all because they brought in the talent that they did. But that Michigan game, shot in the arm, woke them up, and to their credit, they played fantastic throughout the entire playoffs. But I just can't say he's number one right now. I can't.
All right, before we go, I know you wanted to go at 11, so let's take a look at this Crimson Tide schedule.
Sounds good. I'm honestly glad that we're taking a look, because I haven't.
Really now DeBoer will be on the hot seat if they lose at Doak. Like, he would immediately be on that hot seat if they lose.
Oh yeah, that's a must-win game, dude. I mean, Florida State. It doesn't even matter. Like, I know some people would say that it does. Like, if Florida State somehow turns it around and has like a 9-3 year, and Bama loses this game, people look at it in hindsight, well, it wasn't that bad of a loss. It's just the perception of it.
Yes.
Starting out with how trash Florida State was last year. You cannot lose this game. You can't. I agree. You just can't. So please win. Just please win this game. That would be bad. I mean, he'd be smoking. It would be ugly. And then I mean, if they can start out 3-0, you got at Georgia. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be hard to win at Georgia, but hey, Alabama's done great against Georgia, so it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
At Mizzou, I don't know how good they're gonna be. At South Carolina, don't know how good they're gonna be. Tennessee, you get it home. LSU, you get it home.
It's a very favorable SEC schedule.
And at Auburn, Auburn's been bad, but every time Bama plays in Jordan Hare,
it's always a good game.
It's always good. So, hey, it is favorable. It is favorable. It is definitely a schedule that they should make the playoffs. But, man, if they lose to Florida State somehow, hey, I'm not saying you do, but you kind of hope it happens, don't you?
It would be so.
You do. You hope it happens, don't you? I know. I can tell. I don't want it to happen. I don't, man. That would be embarrassing. That would be embarrassing. I don't care how good Florida State does. That would be so embarrassing, man. Oh, man.
So they renovated Doak. So this is their first game with a renovation because, like, the stadium was like half full all season because of that.
Wow. Yeah, Florida State, man. That Mike Norvell. This game would be his. You know, he needs that one.
Yeah.
But I hope he doesn't get it. Troy V says he doesn't think Rondé's number one either, for the record. Yeah, I mean, I understand why some people would say it, but yeah, definitely don't agree.
Mm-hmm.
Austin says Bama's a basketball school, laughing out loud. Yeah, I can't resonate to that, man. Alabama is not a basketball school. I don't care, man. Nate Oates, he's fantastic. Don't get me wrong, he's great, but no. Bama's a football school, man. We got to get back to winning at a higher rate.
What do you think about that game, though? Alabama, Auburn, number 1, number 2. Alabama's smoking Texas right now, which helps my alma mater's VCU's bubble hopes. So that's good. But.
Well, I mean, I will say that it's a massive game, and I think that especially when you look at how Carolina Duke, every year was that game, and now it's not because UNC is not good. And then Indiana, Purdue used to have great games, and now it's
they're still good games. Like,
I mean it is, but it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like Indiana Purdue this year, yeah, the game was good, but it doesn't mean anything. Like Indiana's not a tournament team. Carolina's probably not going to make the tournament. And for this Bama Auburn game to be 1 versus 2, like we're talking like this is theoretically the biggest game of college basketball this season, and it's between 2 football schools. It's just weird. Normally, these type of games are left for, the Carolina Dukes. Like you have big, I mean, I repeat, big, basketball programs playing in these type of games, or like Kansas Duke in a non-conference, something like that. But it's Bama Auburn. It's weird. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, Bama wins. But yeah, it's a big game. It's a big game. Could go either way.
And then, do you want to touch on Mike Woodson? You're probably going to do a video on it, but do you want to touch on the Mike Woodson?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't mind at all. I mean, he's got to go. I mean, like Indiana basketball is just such a shell of its former self. They are so bad. They've been bad for so long. And Mike Woodson had so many more resources than Archie Miller had. I mean, NIL being in his favor, can get anybody he wants. And you saw the preseason hype. Indiana was ranked this year. Indiana was picked to win the Big Ten by some. And with others, they were, picked to finish second or third. They're 13th in the Big Ten right now. 13th in the Big Ten out of 18 teams. 13th. And they were 13-3, and now they're 14-10. And they suck. And his offense is outdated, and his guards are bad. I mean, he never developed guards. He could do what he could do with Jackson Davis and Ware and Ballo. I mean, bigs, whatever. But with guards, you bring in Kanan Carlisle from Stanford, who averaged 12 points a game, and he's averaging 3 this year. How do you do that?
Of course, Mark comes on when we freaking switch to basketball. Gosh darn it! But thanks for coming in, Mark. It was bad timing. Gosh. Sorry. But I gotta call in again. We got
the voice of college football. Appreciate that, Mark. My guys, Jeffrey and Will are on. Nice. Appreciate that. Definitely talking some football and some basketball. Yeah, like Austin said, Mike Woodson already said he's going to part ways. Yeah, but I mean, the thing is that he should, and I repeat, should have been fired. They're not firing him per se because he's alma mater and all that, and Bob Knight player, Indiana basketball, that kind of stuff. Same thing with Patrick Ewing and other ones. They don't want to do that, but he got fired. That's why Woods is saying he's parting ways, because they basically were like, they kicked him out. You know what I'm saying? So Mark says, even if it's Hoops, I still kept you on
Mark.
support. Appreciate that, Mark. Appreciate it a lot.
Mark, is the show
Always
tomorrow
nice to
a call-in show?
Say that again?
I was going to ask Mark, is the show tomorrow a call-in show? I might call in.
Yeah, I have not called in a long time. I need to do that again.
But yeah, and to touch on Carolina, Hubert Davis, do you think he'll be gone? Do you think this is his last season, or do you think they'll stick with him?
Honestly, I think it's close, man. I think if he makes the tournament somehow, if they somehow turn it around enough to squeak into the tournament, I think Hubert will get another year. But if he doesn't make the tournament, he's probably gone. Honestly, he's probably gone. I mean, it's unacceptable at North Carolina to have in 4 seasons, 2 years that they don't make the tournament. You know what I'm saying? And this roster construction, what is it? Have you seen the team? It's all guards. They got Ian Jackson and Seth Trimble and Elliot Cadeau and RJ Davis, and then one big. Like, what is that?
Carolina always had 2 big dudes.
Yeah, like, remember Kennedy Meeks and Isaiah Hicks? Like, that era when it was like 2 just dudes in the middle. It's almost like what Woodson is right now with Renew Bala. It's too outdated. You can't do that. You can't do that. You need to have 4 out, 1 in most of the time. The problem is that North Carolina doesn't have a 4 who's like 6'6", 6'7". Their 4 is 6'3". The 4-man. So they're just getting destroyed on defense. I mean, did you see that Boston College game? That game was sad. They won. But it was like 102-96. They gave up 96 to Boston College. That's the problem with.
See, this is. I need to make my argument why Carolina should not be considered above VCU.
Go ahead.
Guess how much VCU gave up to Boston College?
Probably like 60.
55.
Yeah, I'm sure. But see, it's that name brand recognition, and
8 to 55.
VCU. I would agree. I'd give that to you. No fight for me. I'd give it to you. VCU should be in over Carolina. The only reason Carolina is 14-11, and we're still on the bubble. How are we on the bubble? We suck. We just got killed against Clemson. We're no good. Same thing with Indiana. Indiana is 14-10, and they're still like on the bubble. How? How are we on the bubble? Indiana and North Carolina should not be on the bubble. I'm sorry. They should not be on the bubble. Both teams are bad. They are horrible.
No, do you follow recruiting for Carolina like you do Indiana?
Yeah, they got Cale Wilson. I saw that.
And then Derek Dixon.
Yeah.
Who I saw him play in DC, and he was fantastic. Like, they were doubling him, and he was still getting open, making the clutch 3 at the end.
Well, what do you think? I mean, like the recruiting, they'll keep Hubert because of the recruiting. I don't know.
It depends. Like, I was looking at Carolina, and some Carolina fans want to keep it in the family and want to get Jerry Stackhouse in to replace Hubert Davis. That's what I saw. What? Someone on Twitter. I'm not saying this is everyone, but someone on Twitter is like, we need to keep it within the family and give it to Jerry Stackhouse.
No,
I cannot believe what
that's like Indiana. I don't know, hired somebody like Calvert Cheney's the new coach. No.
I cannot believe I read that.
I'm sorry. Stackhouse is
I'll
not
send
the
it
guy.
to you. I'll send it to you, but that's what someone said. He wasn't. I mean, look at what Byington did at Vandy compared to what Stackhouse did at Vandy.
Byington has been killing it.
Yeah, he's been killing it at Vandy. Just like the James Madison coaches, Signetti and now Byington doing well.
Yeah, I've seen some people say Byington needs to get the job at Indiana.
He should at least get an interview.
Yeah, I mean, sure. It's just I just want somebody that like I know for a fact is gonna win. You know what I'm saying? Like there are candidates out there that I know for a fact would win. Byington, same thing with the guy Drake, McCollum.
Mm-hmm.
They win, but I don't know. I don't know. Sports Talk Doll says, do you guys want to borrow Pat Kelsey? Yeah, we're not getting him. I mean, I'd take him, but we're not gonna get him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not happening. It's definitely not gonna happen. That ship sailed. Like we should have got rid of. We should have got rid of Woodson after last year, man. We really should have.
Mm-hmm. I can understand why you got pro. Mm-hmm.
What did you say?
I didn't understand why you brought him back.
But I didn't either. I mean, I really thought he should have been fired after last year. Especially, I mean, you had Dusty May, man. You had Dusty May
right there.
You had him right there. And that's the thing, like, oh, you want to keep it in the family. Well, there you go. He's in the family. You know what I'm saying? You got him right there. And it's like, oh, well, Woodson, he's going to get another year to fix the ship. Get over the hump that he said a billion times. Let Dusty May go to Michigan. And now it's like, I don't know. It's just dumb. Honestly, it is just dumb. I think Dusty May's still possible, but I think the odds of getting him are a lot less. I mean, because Michigan's going to do everything they can to keep him. Indiana was in a better position last year if they fired Woodson than this year, but they're still guys. They're still candidates. I mean, I would take Byington or McCollum. I would take both, but I still just prefer to get somebody that has won at a high level. You know what I'm saying? Somebody like, if it is Chris Beard, I know everybody's saying no, but it's just an example. Like, he's won at a big school. So, I don't know
if the board of director Regis would let you get Beard.
Probably not. I mean, Indiana's just too – they can't get out of their own way, man. That's the thing. It's like, I understand that you want to not bring in bad – like, I don't want to say bad people, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like people with the baggage, as they always say. But how many programs win because of the baggage, man? Kansas wins despite Bill Self every year. Oh, he's suspended for 3 games. Oh, he's repented for his recruiting violence. It's like, oh my gosh, just please. It's ridiculous. I mean, that's just it. Please. Oh, well, we're playing nobody, and he's suspended for 3 games. We're really punishing him this time. Yeah, but Indiana, it's like, oh well, we got to we have to make sure we hire someone clean. Okay, I don't know. It's just it is what it is, man. I don't know. It's just frustrating. Right. I mean, I think Indiana just needs to hire someone good. I mean, I know it sounds dumb, but just stop hiring bad coaches. You're not hiring bad individuals. You're just hiring bad coaches. Hire someone good. Get Indiana to be good again.
All right, everyone. Well, appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm about to share the screen and we can watch the end of Michigan State, Indiana. But thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yeah, appreciate everybody for being here tonight. And yes, Louisville's doing really good. Austin, happy for your Cardinals that they're doing a lot better in basketball. Appreciate the super chat from Jackson. Always appreciate you for being here and showing support. And definitely thanks everybody for being here. And hopefully you too, Troy V, and hopefully Indiana and North Carolina will get it together next season in college basketball.
Thanks, everyone.